Yeah, I think once you kind of get the definition and authorization of projects established, and you have this prioritization process, then you get into kind of starting to deliver the work. So the governance aspect around delivery, talk a little bit about that from a PMO perspective.
Well, yeah, I think that the whole kind of execution, monitoring, and control performance management kind of thing, I don't think there's a great deal of difference in that from one industry or company to another, or at least I haven't noticed any huge ones. I think the importance they put on it is, how important is cost performance as opposed to schedule performance, as opposed to technical performance, as opposed to. So once again, what's the culture say? What's the company say? I think most of it boils down to the classical things that you measure as a project manager. What's my schedule performance index, my cost performance index, this. But the other one that sometimes I think, at least in subtle terms, we tend to overlook is what are we keeping track of the key performance indicators? Because once again, you always have this debate, is a project successful if I got done on time and within budget and I satisfied the defined requirements?
Right.
Well, obviously at PM you're going to jump and go, yeah, but the guy that you did the project for may be sitting there going, I don't like this thing. And typically that's because it's not performing in some way the way they expected it to. So expectations management, requirements, definition, all of those kinds of things that no one really likes to do are the keys. Projects don't fail at the end, they fail at the beginning.
From a PMO standpoint, what have you seen in terms of benefits realization tracking? Some organizations are probably really good at it. Others probably struggle a little bit because it is a little bit harder to say, at this point in time, we should start seeing the benefit for this particular, product or service that we're putting in the market, right? And
if we're talking about a PMO within an IT environment, again, and I'll go a little bit further, IT supporting a company whose product isn't IT. There's kind of a sliding scale as to where you're involved and how much influence you have. If you're talking about, and I think you're probably seeing this a lot right now, if you're talking about the basic infrastructure, the data centers, the server farms, the networking, IT and the PMO within IT has a huge amount of say-so and influence on that. But as you move that up to IT in a business department, now there's more business side input to it. And if you move it up to the financial performance of that business unit, now that's kind of taking over. And when you talk about that corporate level, long-term profitability growth, that's kind of something that you're standing back and looking at with a little bit of interest, and they're not asking you.
So in PMOs, we know that there's a lot for PMOs to do. That they have work that's coming in. They're assessing current work in flight, and part of that they have to kind of capture various key performance indicators. Tell me about your experience with various metrics and how maybe you would structure that data in maybe a dashboard or some sort of information radiator, so management and other stakeholders could view that sort of data.
That's an interesting question, and again, I think you have to get a feel for how they want to see things, what works for them as opposed to what works for you as a PM. I think for basic metrics of the project, it's the typical things. What's my cost performance index? What are my cost variances? Health are they metrics, good or bad? Yeah. The performance metrics of a project, if you will. I think then we need to find a way to compile that to a program level and then a portfolio level, et cetera, et cetera. And so it all rolls up. And again, trying to keep in mind what is the real interest of the stakeholder. I can be reporting the heck out of schedule performance. I can give them 2 complete performance indices for cost and all that. But if that's not meaningful to them, we're not really accomplishing anything. So trying to figure out what resonates for them, what really actually informs them is key. And then we have to figure out how to take what we do and present it in that way. But I think the other interesting thing about running a PMO and maintaining a PMO is we have a set of metrics all of our own. Are we meeting project performance across the portfolio of the PMO.
Yeah, exactly.
Are projects consistently getting done on time within budget? Are we 85%? X, Y, Z. But the other metric that I found useful in developing and improving PMO performance is establishing a set of metrics that each project manager and project is, I hate to use the term audited, but audited, to see, are you following the procedures and the processes with the appropriate level of discipline that the PMO has defined? Because as you know, if you don't execute a process in a disciplined way and measure the outcome, you can't determine what you need to improve about the process. And so I think that's very true about PMOs and the PM methodology within them is, you know, here's what you're supposed to be doing. Here are the artifacts that you should be generating. Here is the frequency with which status reporting, et cetera, et cetera. Here's how we do change management. Are we adhering to it? Here's how we do issue escalation up and down the food chain. Are we adhering to it? And I found over the years that actually subtly enforces or reinforces the idea that we have defined a right way and a wrong way to do things. And if we find that what we think the right way isn't the right way, we can say, okay, we've discovered this isn't working. We need to stop, do a little bit of a root cause analysis, find out why, make an adjustment. Okay, now we've changed the process that we're auditing you on. Let's see if we get an improvement. So I think, you know, it's the same, only different kind of thing. Plan, do, check, act kind of thing. And no matter what you're doing, that seems to be an effective way of approaching it.
Yeah, the metrics can really help, you know, drive that continuous improvement mindset in the right culture, not only at the project level, but also at the PMO level as well. So.
Absolutely.